Trump embarrassed by your tenure, or is this exactly the kind of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more oversight visits.
No, it's a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay, Secretary Noem, this is my time to talk, not your time to talk. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. Chair, I reclaim my time.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentlelady from New Jersey, Ms. MacGyver, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this hearing today. The greatest threat to the homeland right now is a Department of Homeland Security that the American people no longer trust, a department actively undermined by its own secretary. This is on you, Secretary Noem. Today's hearing is supposed to be about worldwide threats, but Madam Secretary, under your watch, the threat is coming from inside the building. Because when DHS, the department charged with keeping Americans safe, is caught breaking the law, lying to the American public, systematically dismantling oversight, fueling bigotry, and targeting vulnerable communities, trust is broken. Let's start with the basics. How can we trust your department with you at the helm? The American people deserve an answer, even if you've spent the past year dodging accountability like it's your full-time job. We need to talk about oversight. Oversight is not optional. It is not a courtesy because you feel like it. It is not something you entertain only when it's politically convenient to you. Yet, time and time again, Secretary Noem, you have treated congressional oversight as an inconvenience at best, and at worst, something to be invaded, ignored, or denied altogether. Republicans on this committee may be willing to hand over their constitutional duty in order to kiss this administration's butt cheeks, but I am not. I will never. My district is not, and the American people sure aren't. While Republicans turned this hearing into a praise fest for your failed tenure, communities across America, including mine in New Jersey, are made less safe because DHS under your leadership has become unproductive and malicious. All of the thank you that we keep hearing from across the aisle, there's no thank you from me. And we see the truth that you're trying to hide. The truth is you are deeply unqualified for the post you hold. This is on full display in the way you treat the people in this body, myself included, who have been elected to serve our communities and keep them safe. Representative Grajava, Senator Padilla, myself, and others whose character, integrity, and bodies were attacked by your department without evidence and without apology. Far beyond being disrespectful, you have shown a complete disregard for the oversight authority granted to us by law. You have repeatedly shown that you will target whoever you want, whenever you want, without accountability. Members of Congress, members of our communities, and even American citizens, as many of my colleagues have continued to point out today. Secretary Noem, that's not leadership. That's not democracy. And that is not how this works. Again, this is not just about you. Don't want you to think this is just a pick on you day. This is about the Trump administration that has turned DHS into a political weapon. So I'll ask you this. Is Trump embarrassed by your tenure, or is this exactly the kind of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more oversight visits.
No, it's a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay, Secretary Noem, this is my time to talk, not your time to talk. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. Chair, I reclaim my time. Secretary Noem, DHS is breaking the law, hiding information from Congress, and shutting out oversight. So let me ask you, how can the American people trust your department with you at the helm with this kind of behavior?
The American people absolutely trust this department to keep them safe. And we are showing that every day by the support we get across the country, the amount of people that we're recruiting to all of our different agencies.
Thank you, Secretary Noem. Do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
Excuse me, would you say that
You
again?
would have heard me if you stopped talking and listened to my questions. Do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
We are not doing that. We are out there enforcing the law, doing our work, and we are allowing oversight.
Of course, we're not going to get any answers. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. McKean, for 5 minutes of questions.
The moment still hangs in the air, sharp, unresolved, and impossible to ignore. You would have heard me if you stopped talking. In that single line, delivered during a tense exchange at a congressional hearing, the conflict crystallized. A sitting member of Congress demanding accountability, a cabinet secretary deflecting, interrupting, and refusing to engage, and a nation watching what happens when oversight collides with power that no longer wants to be questioned. What unfolded in that hearing room was not just a heated back and forth. It was a live demonstration of how fragile trust becomes when authority treats scrutiny as an obstacle instead of a duty. Representative MacGyver did not mince words. She accused the Department of Homeland Security of losing the confidence of the American people, not because of external threats, but because of internal decay. Law-breaking, misinformation, disregard for oversight, and the weaponization of a department meant to protect, not intimidate. Oversight is the backbone of a functioning democracy. It is not a favor granted by executive agencies when it is convenient. It is a constitutional obligation. And when a cabinet secretary appears before Congress yet refuses to answer direct yes or no questions, interrupts lawmakers, and sidesteps accountability, something deeper is revealed. Not just about one official, but about a system drifting away from transparency. Throughout the exchange, MacGyver laid out a sweeping indictment. She spoke of communities made less safe, of elected representatives targeted without evidence, of oversight requests ignored or denied. She framed it as a crisis of leadership, not personality. Leadership, she reminded the room, is not about authority without limits. It is about responsibility under law. The secretary's response was familiar: broad assurances. Vague references to support and recruitment, a refusal to directly address the charge that DHS resources were used against members of Congress, and when pressed, again, the answer was not clarity, but deflection. We are not doing that, she said, before pivoting away from the question itself. This is how institutional trust erodes. Not all at once, but moment by moment, question by question. When those entrusted with power speak past the people charged with oversight, when answers are replaced with talking points, when accountability is treated as hostility, the public notices. They always do. MacGyver's frustration was not theatrical, it was structural. This is my time, she said, reclaiming it again and again, asserting the basic right of an elected representative to ask questions on behalf of her district. That insistence was not about dominance in the room. It was about preserving the role of Congress as a co-equal branch of government. The hearing also exposed a deeper political fault line. While some members praised the secretary's tenure, others saw something darker: an agency increasingly shaped by political loyalty rather than public service. MacGyver directly tied the issue to the broader administration, asking whether this leadership was an embarrassment or precisely the point. The question went unanswered. But its silence spoke volumes. This is not an abstract debate. DHS is one of the most powerful departments in the federal government. Its reach touches borders, infrastructure, enforcement, and national security. When trust in such an institution falters, the consequences ripple outward. Communities feel it, lawmakers feel it, and the public begins to question whether the system is working for them or against them. What made this moment resonate was not just the accusation, but the imbalance. One side armed with authority and control over information, the other armed only with questions and the constitutional right to ask them. When the questions are stonewalled, democracy itself feels the strain. History shows us that democratic erosion rarely announces itself loudly. It happens in hearings like this, in interruptions, in refusals, in the slow normalization of non-answers. It happens when power grows comfortable dismissing scrutiny, and when institutions forget that legitimacy comes not from force or messaging, but from accountability. The exchange ended not with resolution, but with a yield back. No confession, no acknowledgement, no clarity. Just the lingering sense that something essential had been avoided. And perhaps that is the most revealing outcome of all. Because democracy does not depend on perfection. It depends on confrontation with truth, on the willingness of those in power to be questioned, fully, openly, and without contempt. When that willingness disappears, oversight becomes theater, and trust becomes collateral damage. What we witnessed was not just a clash of personalities, it was a warning, a reminder that freedom is not self-sustaining. It must be defended in rooms like this by voices willing to speak plainly and by citizens willing to pay attention. The question now is not whether the exchange was uncomfortable. It is whether it will be remembered, whether accountability will follow, whether institutions meant to serve the public will recommit to transparency or continue down a path where power answers only to itself. In moments like these, silence is not neutral. It sides with inertia, and inertia, left unchecked, reshapes systems in ways that are hard to reverse. The American system was designed to be noisy, contentious, and demanding because liberty requires friction. When that friction is smoothed away by deflection and dismissal, something vital is lost. This is why these hearings matter. This is why oversight matters. And this is why watching, questioning, and refusing to look away still matters. If you believe accountability should never be optional, if you believe power must always answer to the people, then stay engaged. Support independent political coverage. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA and help us continue exposing the truth.